Hey, I'm back. So about 26 years ago, something happened to me that I thought was going to be the story of my life. Turns out it wasn't. HIV ended up being kind of a bigger story. But 26 years ago, when I was 20 years old, I was going to San Jose State University and I was working as a teller at Bank of the West. I think I'd been there about a year. And I went to work one day and got shot in a bank robbery and survived, obviously. But so this is basically the story. We were situated near a freeway, so our bank had been hit several times before. So when I went to work there, they kind of like gave us some training on that just in case it were to happen. These are the steps, don't push the panic button. That goes directly to the police unless the perpetrator's gone, because you don't want to create a hostage type situation. So we were kind of always prepared for it. So that was basically it. Give them whatever they asked for. Don't try to be a hero. Those were the things they told us. So I went to work that day. It was a 12 o'clock shift. It was always a short shift. It was like 3 hours long, like 12 to 3. Got my little station ready, and about 12:15, this black gentleman walks in. And I have to say that like 98% of the people that came in there were Hispanic. So he stood out immediately because we knew a lot of our clientele. Like they were regulars constantly. So I didn't recognize him right away. He had a long trench coat on, and it was a warm day out. It was March 21st. And I just remember thinking that was odd. And he walked in and he had a choice of 3 windows, and he went to mine. And I was like, here we go. I just had a feeling something was about to be really wrong with this transaction. I don't know why. I just felt it. Something was off. He had a paper bag that was folded up about 3 times, and he pushed it towards me, and he said something to the effect of, "Give me all your money." And he pulled out a gun. It was silver. It was about the size of, it was about this big, maybe that big. Pointed it at me, and I didn't hesitate. I stood up immediately, turned this way, so he's right here, went to open the drawer with the key, and as soon as my hand went in the drawer, I heard a pop behind me, and I thought a balloon had popped. I was like, what the heck was that noise? And then instantaneously, my wrist hurts, and it feels like it's in a bucket of ice water. And I look down, and my wrist is bleeding. All of a sudden, there's 2 holes in my wrist, and there's blood coming out from both sides. And I just froze, and I trying to comprehend what had just happened to me. This just all went down in seconds. He told me to stay calm and to give me all the money that I had. I proceeded to open the drawer, and other people were aware now what was going on. Everybody froze. Another teller, there was another guy teller that worked with me. He reached over and handed him wads of money, like, here, take it, please leave. I'm putting money on the counter as I'm bleeding on the money and on the floor. We think he ended up with about $13,000. He put this into his paper bag. He kept telling me just to be calm. Okay, I was as calm as I could possibly be, but I was in a lot of pain. My hand hurt a lot, and I just remember it felt like it was in a bucket of ice water. That's the only way I could describe it, that feeling of like that freezing, achy feeling, that really bad achy feeling. And so he left. They locked the doors immediately, and ironically, we were right down the street from a hospital. And there was a doctor in there getting a new loan, or he was using the ATM, something like that. And there was a nurse in there getting a new loan, one or the other, I can't remember. But anyways, I had like immediate medical attention. It was insane. So they put me on the floor behind the desks. They had called the police. This man walked away on foot. He had robbed, here's the thing, bank robbers is suspect in 8 other heists. He had robbed several other banks in the area in San Jose prior to this, and we were the 8th bank that was held up. I was the only one who was shot. I didn't provoke him in any way. I'll never know why he did it. All I can suspect is that he had already had his gun cocked. I don't really know a lot about guns, but that maybe it's super sensitive and he did it by accident. I don't know, because I didn't do anything to provoke him. I definitely just did everything that he said. I was super quiet. I was just doing all the, it was like a robot. I was just like, yes, do exactly what you were trained to do. So, they don't tell you you're going to get shot. So that was kind of like, okay, how do we handle this one? So I didn't pass out during any of it. I do remember laying on the floor and them asking me questions, and at that time they realized I had blood on my shirt. Had no idea that I had been shot through the chest as well. Didn't feel it at all. And so that, thank God, was just, it just went in my chest and out underneath here. Same bullet. So basically the bullet went in here, and then it came out here. So it went in this way, came out, it deflected upward. So it came up, hit me here, and then it came out underneath right here. So here's my, if you can see, that's my entry wound right there. That's the exit wound right there. My entry wound on my chest is right there. And the exit wound is somewhere under here. I think that little spot right there. So the I only had to have stitches in this one. This all healed up on its own. Okay, so back to the bank. So they cut off all my clothes on the bank floor, and I remember being really super embarrassed because there was a guy that I worked with, and I was like, just cover me up. Like I didn't want to. I liked the outfit that I had, and I was really mad that they cut it off me. And I actually got that reimbursed later. It's a skirt I had got from J. Crew. I just bought it and I loved it. So they just cut that right off. Anyway, I ended up going down to the hospital, which was literally right down the street. And I was on the news that night. My parents heard on the radio that a woman had been shot in a bank in San Jose, or I think it was my dad. And he didn't know at the time that they were talking about me. And it was me. And so my everyone came down to the hospital that night. There was no surgery required. It was, again, just stitches. Thank God it didn't hit my lung, because that would have been a completely different situation. I would have had to have the chest tube, and I've seen that on emergency shows, and that looks extremely unpleasant. So thankfully that didn't happen. The bullet was picked up, and okay, so he left on foot. They did not find him. He ended up robbing several other banks in the next few months. They finally caught him in San Francisco at the Bank of Canton. They caught him taking people hostage, and he was like on the roof of the bank, and they took him down on a cherry picker. I remember that. His name was Curtis Blackwell Jr. That is him. It's kind of hard to see that picture, but that's him. 20, 30 years old, something like that. And we had to go to court after, well, we had to go to a lineup in San Francisco, and I picked him out of a group of 6 men. And my boss was certain it was number 6. I was certain it was number 4, because number 4 did something to me immediately when I saw that man walk on stage. My heart started racing. I said, that's him. I know that's him, because they all look the same. They do that on purpose in the lineup. They make these guys all look the same, and you don't really know for sure. But anyway, I picked the right guy. He went to jail for a long time. He was sentenced under federal law. You have to spend 7 years in jail per bank robbery. I think they got him for 5. So he spent a mandatory, there's no early release for that, 35 years in jail. I believe he's still in jail. The last I heard, he was in Lompoc. I've never had any contact with him. I've wanted to write to him, and I don't know. I felt bad for the guy. They had a whole story about that he'd had some hard luck, and he had a son, and he was just trying to survive. And of course I kind of fell for it, but my mom wanted to kill him. I didn't. I survived. I was okay. I am left-handed. It went through my left hand, so that kind of sucked. I was in college at the time, so I had to do some recording of classes instead of writing. Here's a picture of I think I'm 20 years old there with my hand. And then these are the pictures that I took. So terrible. We just didn't take, I had a disc camera, and most people probably don't even know what that is, but you have to go get the film developed. It takes 2 weeks, or whatever, a week. You go down to Long's, and so I didn't take many pictures. I don't know. I took these myself. I don't know why I didn't ask anybody to. Of course, I'm never going to get shot again in my life. Why didn't I take more pictures? But these are my injuries. That was my wrist right there with the holes that look like you could put a pencil through it. There's my wrist. There's my chest. You can kind of see the exit wound. It created like a bruise right there. There's the entry exit and another exit wound. So basically the chipped rib just felt like a broken rib. I guess it was really sore later, like the next day, but day of, had no idea that I had been shot through the chest, didn't feel it at all. My white shirt couldn't be recovered. Looked pretty bad after. So anyways, what I was shot with was a 38 hollow tip. This is what it looks like before it's shot. And oops, this is what it looked like after. This is the actual bullet that went through my body. And it didn't do what it was supposed to do. It's supposed to like flower out and blow a big giant hole in you. But I believe because he was so close to me, it didn't have that time or the velocity that it needs to do that. So thankfully it made a nice clean hole through my wrist, or that wrist. And, you know, through my chest there was kind of a bigger entry wound, but not bad. And I was just really lucky. What happened to my hand is I had, it nicked a nerve in my hand. So that's why I felt that icy cold feeling. And it just took some time for that to heal. My thumb got a little atrophied, the muscle, but it all got better over time. It was fine. I had asked the FBI if I could have that bullet. I kind of begged for it. And it came in this little box. This came in the mail. Little tiny box from the FBI. I've always held on to this. And my mom wrote me this little note when it came. I was so excited for my bullet to come, and I've always wanted to do something with it or have a tattoo or something, but I just never could think of anything that would be pretty, or I don't know, bullets aren't very pretty, so I didn't want to wear it on, as a necklace or a piece of jewelry, and a tattoo, I was just, I don't know, I couldn't think of anything, so I just never did, and no tattoos commemorating it. But this is the note from my mom. Jen, we went to the movies. Your bullet is here. Love, Mom. So I always thought that was kind of funny. I mean, who has a note from their mom saying their bullet's here? So my bullet arrived. I keep it in a safe deposit box, and it's there for my children to look at and go, oh my God, my mom got shot in a bank robbery. So that's my bank robbery story. It was kind of crazy, and but not life-threatening, but now I know what it feels like to be shot. And I always thought that was going to be my big story of my life, but okay, I remembered, it's actually 3 things. Okay, so when we went to court for the sentencing, the judge, my getting shot actually wasn't part of his sentencing, because under state law, it didn't count for as much as his actual robbing the bank under federal law. So we went for federal charges instead. So in that case, my shooting actually wasn't part of his sentencing. And the judge was aware of this, and she kind of knew like that might make me feel bad in some way, that I was sort of overlooked, but I didn't, you know, it was okay. So anyways, during court, there was many people there because he'd robbed so many banks. And so all the witnesses were there and stuff. And I was there with my mom, my boyfriend at the time, and the judge made a point of letting him know that I was in court. The young lady that you shot is here today. Could you turn around and make eye contact with her and tell her that you're sorry, basically. I remember just freezing, like it was the weirdest thing ever. So he turned around and said he was sorry. And so that was it. I don't know, how could I be mad at him? I don't know, I wasn't mad at him. So I did, I felt bad for him. Okay, so 2 other things, and this has nothing to do with my shooting, just 2 other things that I've kind of wanted to mention about HIV. So during my life, I've kept copies of People magazine that really stood out to me, that were like kind of a big deal over time. Like when U2 became really big, the Shuttle Explorer exploding, baby Jessica when she got caught in the whale. And I've kept these all my life, like Princess Diana when they got married. I had about 10 or 15 like really important copies that I've always kept. Ryan White was one of them. That story touched me like just one of those moments in time that I just have never been able to let go of. And to know now that I'm sitting here with the same virus that he has or had, just kind of blows my mind. Like I never in a million years, when I kept that copy, would have ever in my life thought that I would eventually have what killed him. Never in a million years. And the other thing that really blew my mind is that I watched Dallas Buyers Club by myself in 2014 at the Nickelodeon in Santa Cruz. And I had no idea at the time that I was sitting there with HIV in my body. Like that was a big shock to me. When that came to my mind later, I said, my God, I saw that movie and I was sitting in that theater and I had HIV and I had no idea. No idea. Just mind-blowing, mind-blowing. Here I'm sitting feeling sorry for this guy, not knowing I'm about to go through the same thing he went through and get so sick. Oh my gosh, like I just think of Matthew McConaughey in that role, and just I, I feel like, my God, that was me. That was me. It ended up being me. Not, you know, very much longer. So anyways, that's my shooting story. Yeah, that's it. I'm good. I can't think of anything else that could happen to me at this point. I've been shot. I have HIV. Lightning, maybe. But so that's why I surf, because there's just no way I'm going to get bit by a shark. There's just no way. It's just impossible. Or I'm the most incredibly unlucky person in the world, and maybe I will get bit by a shark, and that's probably how I'm going to die. I don't know. But I really hope I don't. So, okay. That is all. See ya.